You know it was sabotage last year. Y'all had Dillon Gabriel get drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. He was getting all the reps and stuff before Shedeur Sanders, all for a new coach to come, and Dillon Gabriel's just not in it at all. That's how you know it was straight up sabotage. Browns' Todd Monken accidentally admitted Dillon Gabriel has no future in Cleveland. That is crazy.
Dillon Gabriel may have just gotten the loudest, quiet message of the Browns' offseason, and it did not come from a trade report, a depth chart, or some anonymous leak. It came straight from Todd Monken's own mouth. And the crazy part is, Monken may not have even meant to embarrass him, but when the head coach starts talking about the quarterback room and says the Browns have 2 starting-level quarterbacks, everybody in Cleveland immediately knew what that meant, because if there were only 2, and those 2 are Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, then where exactly does that leave Dillon Gabriel? That is why this story is spreading so fast. The Browns drafted Gabriel in the 3rd round, and at the time, that pick already confused a lot of people. Cleveland did not have a clear franchise quarterback. Deshaun Watson was still a giant question mark because of injuries, inconsistency, and everything that has happened since he arrived. Shedeur Sanders was also in the building, carrying a much bigger national spotlight and a fan base that wanted to see him get a real shot. So when Gabriel was taken before Shedeur, a lot of fans were asking the same thing. What is the plan here? Now, after Todd Monken's comments, that question feels even louder, because Monken did not say the Browns had 3 starting-level quarterbacks. He did not say everybody was in the same race. He did not give the usual coach answer where every quarterback is doing a great job and competing hard and we love all our guys. Instead, he said he goes back and forth with the quarterbacks and that Cleveland has 2 starting-level quarterbacks. That sounds like clarity. And for Dillon Gabriel, that clarity is not good.
Kevin Stefanski really advocated for Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel was his guy. Kevin Stefanski was going to bat for Dillon Gabriel every chance he had and undermining everything that Shedeur Sanders brought to the table.
The quote matters because coaches choose their words carefully, especially when they're talking about quarterbacks. Monken said that in a perfect world, you have your starting quarterback, but he's not sure the Browns are there yet. Then he said both quarterbacks have played well enough, even though they haven't been in pads and haven't played real games yet. He added that every day he leans one way or the other, and that he's fired up by the quarterbacks. Then came the key line. The Browns have 2 starting-level quarterbacks. That line is the entire story. Because when a coach says both quarterbacks, he's not talking about the entire room. He's talking about the actual competition. And right now, that competition looks like Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders. Gabriel is not being framed as a serious starting option. He's not being described as someone Monken goes back and forth on. He's not being pushed into the same conversation. Whether Monken intended it or not, he basically told the public that Gabriel is outside the real battle. That is why people are saying Gabriel got embarrassed. Not because Monken attacked him, not because he called him out by name, and not because he said anything disrespectful directly. It's worse than that. Gabriel got erased. Sometimes in sports, the most damaging thing is not being criticized. It's being left out of the sentence. And in a quarterback room, when the head coach talks about 2 starting-level quarterbacks and your name is not one of them, that's a brutal message.
I think another way in which Todd just kind of walks into a good situation is I do think that the offense was in such disrepair last year.
Here's the part nobody's talking about. Dillon Gabriel's problem is not just that Watson and Shedeur may be ahead of him. His problem is that the entire direction of the franchise does not seem built around him. After the Myles Garrett trade, the Browns are clearly entering a new phase. They're trying to build a new window, develop young talent, and figure out who the quarterback will be for the next real run. If Gabriel was part of that plan, this would have been the moment to protect him publicly. Instead, the strongest public language went toward 2 other quarterbacks. That makes the 3rd-round pick look even stranger now. When Cleveland drafted Gabriel, fans tried to figure out the logic. Was he a developmental option? Was he insurance? Was he someone the front office liked more than the public did? Was he supposed to be the steady, experienced college quarterback who could fit Monken's offense? Those were fair questions, but when the head coach starts talking like the real battle is between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur, suddenly Gabriel looks less like a hidden plan and more like an awkward roster piece. And that is what makes this situation so uncomfortable. Gabriel didn't ask for this. He's just a quarterback trying to make a roster and prove he belongs. But the Browns put him in a weird spot by drafting him where they did, while also bringing in Shedeur and still keeping Deshaun in the conversation. Now he's caught in the middle of a quarterback drama that's bigger than him. Deshaun has the contract, the past production, and the pressure to prove he can still play. Shedeur has the name, the fan base, the confidence, and the upside storyline. Gabriel has the draft slot, but right now, that might not be enough.
And so in order to extend that Super Bowl window, the Browns had to take a big swing, and clearly they missed on this swing, but they took a big swing to trade for Deshaun Watson and to try to extend that Super Bowl roster with the players that was on the team.
Cleveland's quarterback room was already messy before Monken said anything. Watson is not just another veteran. He is tied to one of the biggest swings the Browns have ever taken, a swing that is not delivered. The Browns traded major assets to get him, gave him a massive deal, and expected him to extend a Super Bowl window built around Garrett, Ward, Chubb, and that offensive line. But that window never opened the way Cleveland hoped, and now Garrett is gone. That era is over. The Browns are building something new, and if they are building something new, the quarterback decision becomes the most important thing in the building. This is where it gets dangerous, because Monken's words did something subtle but powerful. He talked about Watson and Shedeur as the starting level quarterbacks in the room. He did not mention Gabriel the same way. And in the NFL, perception matters more than people want to admit. Who gets the first team reps? Who gets the coach the hardest? Who gets discussed as part of the future? Those details tell you more than any public depth chart in June. And right now, the language around Gabriel does not sound like a quarterback the Browns are planning around. Here's the part nobody is talking about. The jersey number situation added fuel to an already burning fire. Jarrett Verse arriving and wearing number 8, the number connected to Gabriel, became another symbol of his shaky standing. Maybe it was just a number situation, but in a quarterback room already full of questions, optics matter. And when fans start asking whether a third-round pick will even make the 53-man roster, something is clearly shifted. Gabriel has one path left. He has to make the Browns uncomfortable. He has to perform so well in camp and preseason that they simply cannot ignore him. Not just safe, not just average, efficient, accurate, composed, and clearly in command. That is the only way to flip this narrative, because complaining will not do it. Draft status will not do it. Undeniable play is the only thing that saves him now. So the question is simple. Did Monken accidentally reveal the truth that Gabriel has no real future in Cleveland, or are people reading too much into one quote from a coach trying to praise Watson and Shedeur? Because if Gabriel disappears in camp, this moment will be remembered as the beginning of the end. But if he fights back and forces his way into the conversation, then maybe Monken's words were exactly the fire he needed.